self-effort too is needed. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. These past weeks, we discussed the need for balancing self-effort with receptivity to divine grace. Both are important in the spiritual life. Passive dependence on grace hasn't the magnetism to attract grace. Boastful self-confidence, however, which closes itself off from the higher divine power, is shallow, brittle, and, given life's many uncertainties, susceptible to ultimate failure. There is a story in the Bible that illustrates the need to put forth personal effort so as to draw magnetically on the divine power. The story occurs in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 8. But as he went, the crowds nearly suffocated him. Among them was a woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years and who had derived no benefit from anybody's treatment. She came up behind Jesus and touched the edge of his cloak. As a result, her hemorrhage stopped immediately. "Who has touched me?" Jesus asked. When everybody denied it, Peter remonstrated, "Master, the crowds are all around, pressing you on every side." But Jesus said, "Somebody touched me. I felt power going out from me." When the woman realized that she had not escaped notice, she came forward, trembling, and fell at his feet and admitted before everyone why she had touched him, adding that she had been instantaneously cured. "Daughter," Jesus said, "it is by your faith that you have been healed. Go in peace." Self-confidence and self-effort are necessary, as the ignition of a car is necessary to the motor. Of what use the ignition, however, if the motor itself will not work? Wise is he who recognizes the real power in the universe and guides his life by that supreme power. As it says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, "To those who meditate on me as their very own, ever united to me by incessant worship, I make good their deficiencies and render permanent their gains." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Okay, so she's checking the microphone. This piece that we've just listened to from the Gospel is truly special, and it gives us so much inspirations and indications for our lives as devotees, but not only for our lives in general. Last night there was a beautiful Kriya Yoga initiation with many new Kriya bands, and in this reading we can find a key to the right attitude. This woman tells us, as the Gospel says, had been sick for 12 years. And one of the other Gospel writers also adds to that she not only had been to many doctors without results, but that she also had spent all her money in trying to heal, to become better. the gospel doesn't really says how serious the illness had been, not just physically. Yes, it was a hemorrhage, but also for the Jewish law, hemorrhage was similar to being a leper. A woman during the monthly menstruation for the Jewish law is completely impure. And not only should she stay away from her husband, no man could ever get near her. Nobody should touch the things that she touches. So a woman like her, who had been suffering continuously from bleedings, was considered like a leper, completely excluded from everyone and everything, from a normal life. And this woman, with this deep faith that she feels in her heart when she hears about Jesus is coming, she finds the courage in her heart to challenge this severe Jewish law that she was subject to, and to step forward to touch Jesus' cloak, the edge of his cloak. She doesn't dare to touch his body because she probably still feels that she's doing something that the law really doesn't, apparently should not allow. But her heart, her intuition, as Swami Kriyananda says, her soul is open, is attuned to Jesus, and she knows. The other gospel writers says that she really says, I know with certainty that only just touching his cloak I shall be healed. And this is so strong, so beautiful, this certainty, this inner certainty that she has developed. Very often we tend to think that grace is something like miraculous, casual, random. He's been lucky. He's received this grace. I don't know how you think about these things. I used to think like that grace is random. God wakes up in the morning and says, "Well, today let me be a little bit better than I usually am, and I'll give some healing around. I'll give some money to this guy, to that one. And let's just see where I get." Oh, and then I've received grace. But it doesn't work like that, the masters say. Grace is also a law. It is a spiritual law. It may appear that this woman hasn't done much. Swami says she made the effort to go against the law, to find courage to go out of the house, to mix with the crowd. She used a lot of willpower, but not just that. It was not only that effort that drew the instantaneous healing and grace. It was an effort that one might name an effort, not effort, of her heart. It was this capacity that had been matured over many, many lifetimes, probably, of devotion, of walking the spiritual path. This capacity to say, I believe, I entrust myself. She didn't go to Jesus, well, I've tried all of them. This is for free. Let's try this one, see if it works. She said no. She said, I know within myself, and I give myself completely. Swami Kriyananda, in one of his comments to this passage, said, certainly she didn't go to Jesus with an attitude of taking, but of an attitude of giving something of herself, because that it is that really draws grace and healing. When we offer ourselves completely to God, to the light, when we want to give also something. These days I was listening to a talk by Swami Kriyananda, which struck me deeply when he spoke about this aspect of the capacity to offer ourselves to something greater than ourselves, God, whatever meaning God has for you, but to offer yourself to a greater reality, to the Spirit. And he said that this too, like the capacity to draw grace, to attract grace, is not something that comes from one moment to the other. It's not casual. It's not like he has it, she doesn't have it, I would like to have it. No, I'd like to give myself. He says it is a practice. It is a continuous putting yourself to trial, to put the ego to silence. Not the ego doesn't want to give up. The ego says, I need to protect everything. You know what happens? What could happen if I trust God? Let's stay with our old certainty. This is a choice, a continuous choice, a choice daily to be made. It's a spiritual exercise, a life exercise. Swami Kriyananda said that when he met Yogananda, he too made this continuous effort until he got to the point where he said every day he said, to what point am I really willing to obey him? Yes, I gave him my unconditional love. Yes, I gave him my unconditional obedience. But to what point am I really aligned with all myself to these promises that I made? And he said that, and don't take it literally, but he said, I got to a point where I said, if he told me to throw myself out of the window, I'll do it. Don't take it literally, of course, because it's not that we hear a voice saying we throw ourselves out of the window, but just to say up to which point the devotee is capable of arriving in his faith in God. Because for Swami Kriyananda, the Guru Yogananda was an incarnation of God. He says, through daily exercise, daily practice, I got to the point where I knew that whatever God in the form of my Guru would have asked for me, I would have done it, but not out of blind obedience, not at all out of that reason, but because I had the certainty that whatever he would ask from me would have been for my ultimate good. I had the certainty that God, and therefore also the Guru, only wants my love, and that whatever he gives me or would give me would be for my own love. So we can imagine this woman then again, who had this emoris, as she's called in the gospel. She gets close to God with, on the one hand, faith in healing, but also faith, the total offering of herself, whatever happens, whatever be the result. This is what makes the great difference, the big difference, as Yogananda says, as Kriyananda said, between who seeks healing and who seeks love and God's presence, which are the greatest form of healing. Kriyananda, in one of his affirmations, he says, it's tiring to try to solve every challenge of our lives one after the other. This is difficult to try healing in every single aspect of our lives. Body, mind, soul, so many things we have to put into order on so many levels. This can be an infinite task, infinite task. You get better in one thing, and in another aspect you make progress, and then you look behind in another side, and then there is no progress at all. This is at least my experience. But what does Kriyananda say? He says, rather than continuously making all these efforts, not that these are vain efforts, concentrate rather on the supreme effort to open your heart to God. Because when you live in God's love and in the presence of God, not just whatever comes to you will come to you, must come to you, will come to you, but in this state of love, it doesn't really matter to you anymore whether you're well, whether you're not well, whether you're poor or rich, whether you're in a good relationship or not, because this presence, this love become total for you. We can be in our lives on many different levels of this love, which is the ultimate goal to be reached, which all the spiritual masters tell us. It's not just a goal, this love, it is also a daily practice. There's a beautiful story which will simplify it, the story of a king who had been saved by his 6 bodyguards. Let me get something to drink. And this king one day invites his 6 bodyguards and tells them, "You have saved me. I would like to give you a reward. Each one of you may ask whatever he likes to have, and he will have it." So the first bodyguard, young people, says, "Oh, your Majesty, in my village we have a big problem. We don't have a road, and all the villagers must make big efforts every day to get as far as the marketplace. So I would like you to build a road, to make a road." "No problem," says the king. "This will be given to you." Second bodyguard then says, "But I really would like, I live in a slum with my family, and I would like to have a decent house. Please give me a decent house." And the king says again, "Yes, so be it." The third bodyguard then asks for to become a nobleman, part of the aristocracy. The fourth one's wealth. He says, "I can't support my family anymore. I need money," and it's given. The fifth asks for a beautiful wife to cheer up his days, to beautify his days. And then he tells the buffoon he says, "You have a daughter. Okay, let him marry this very good young bodyguard." The last bodyguard of these bodyguards says, "My Majesty, I don't want nothing. I don't want anything except that you come and visit me at least once a year for the rest of the time of our lives until one of us will die. I want you to come and visit me once a year." And the king says, "Okay, so be it. I will grant you this." Then what happens? The time comes to organize the visit of the king, and obviously, and all the courtesans and the ministers tell the king, "Well, the king needs to travel comfortably. Let's make sure that there is a good road that take him to the village." And so they start building the whole road that takes the king to that young villager. Then they say the king needs to stay in a beautiful palace. He can't just live in some normal house. And so they build, I know you've already understood, they build him a wonderful castle, after which the king they say he can't just sleep in the house, stay in the house of a person who is not part of the aristocracy. So they immediately grant those titles to this boy, and then they give him, of course, a beautiful, very good salary monthly, so he can buy everything that he needs to host the king. And then at the end, to host the king, you need a landlord who knows the habits of the king really well, and who better than the daughter of the king would know her father better. So they organize a marriage with one of the daughters of the king. And here we don't know if this young man was really just being very clever, or a pure soul with a pure heart. But we do know what we want to learn from this story. We don't need anything really apart from this sense of fullness, joy, bliss, inner bliss. That it is what we really look for. Not even physical health we look for, is what we really look for. Think that you have physical health, but still be depressed, sad, with a heart that is closed. That is not what you really want. But like Swami Kriyananda and many other saints that we've read, lives studied, whose lives we have studied, even a sick body, but a great love for God in his heart, a lot of faith, a lot of warmth in the heart, and then life can still be wonderful. So this is the great message. One of the great messages of this reading, of this woman so pure, so simple, who gets close to Jesus with this heart open, aligned, attuned to him. She knows in her heart that he has the power to heal her. But what makes it even more interesting is this. Jesus, what does he tell her? He says, "Daughter, your faith hath healed thee." Daughter, he calls her, so beautiful. In Sanskrit, many of you know, disciples, chela, which also means child, son, daughter. This opening of the heart, this love, has made her a daughter. And to a daughter or a son, you don't refuse anything. The love of the father and the mother will be given completely and free. Jesus says, your heart has saved you. And Swami Kriyananda, with his profoundness, his profundity, puts to focus an important aspect. He says she has not been saved because of her faith, but through her faith. And again, grace is not a reward. Grace is not a reward. So say, oh, he has faith, I'll grant him grace. But Yogananda says, faith is attunement with cosmic consciousness, cosmic energy in the form of God, of a saint, of the Guru. This opening that makes sure that you attract within yourself that energy in the form of grace. And that energy then will awaken in you the capacity to heal on all the levels of your life. So with this love, we not only become children of God, but we also become responsible. We will assume responsibility to say, I'll keep my heart open, and that will be that will take me, your grace and your redemption, through me, through my will, through my love. I'd like to share another story. Some of you may already know it. Many of you, I believe, maybe all of you who are here, but maybe not all of those who follow us from home, you may know that at Ananda we are building a new temple of joy it's called. This temple of light that we are in now, over the years, has become a little too small to be able to host all those who come here. And I don't know if you know that at the same time, at Ananda village too, they're building a big temple. And theirs is called the Temple of Light. They've stayed like behind one version compared to us. Well, only regarding the name, of course, because they already have a temple. But this is their second temple too. Any case, Temple of Light. And like these big works that are being carried out on for God can only be done through collaboration of many people who feel inspired to donate. So some weeks ago, in Ananda village, news arrived that a couple donated for the temple $1 million, just like that. And when I read that, I thought, my God, these must be very rich people to be able to give so much money. But in any case, such good people, amazing, it's not little. And then this story through the mail arrived, and I read it and I thought, oh, this is one of those most inspiring stories that I've ever read. These people in reality were not acting on their own behalf. They didn't have this money. They are a couple, and the woman of this couple is the sister to a man who's called Jairam, who since 1984 has been in an American prison, actually in more than one prison, for a crime that he was accused of but that he never committed. So this Jai Ram then, in 1987, so a few years later, he read Autobiography of a Yogi, and he felt deeply inspired. And he asked an organization that gives Kriya permission to have the initiation, but they refused because his conditions, karmic conditions, had not been, were not considered suited for initiation. But what I was struck by was by his reaction. How can you react to that? Already you are in prison, that's number one, and you're in prison and it's not for no reason. Can you be angry with God? Then second, maybe anger or depression or sadness. I want to become better and you don't grant me Kriya initiation. But no, nothing of this. At least he says he never had these reactions. He just thought immediately, okay, with perfect even-mindedness, he thought, well, Kriya is something between me and my Guru. If he wants me to have it, sooner or later I will have it. It will come to me. Otherwise, fine. I will receive what God gives me. I will take what God gives me. Sometime later, he then, through his mother, found out about Ananda, and he wrote to Ananda, and people from Ananda started to go and visit him in prison. And in 1991, Jyotish Novak, who is now the successor to Yogananda, gave him initiation, Kriya initiation in prison. And in 1995, Swami Kriyananda gave him the second Kriya through the telephone, again in prison. So this is the first part of the story that I found very inspiring. This faith, the faith of this man, and this how he was feeling still a God, son of God, and worthy. I am your son. If you want to give me those keys, give them. Do whatever you want to do with me. But not only that, he also always felt that being in prison should not be a limitation to me to serve my Guru. Quite the opposite, I consider it an opportunity to serve my Guru. He wrote a letter in which he explains this donation, this miraculous donation that he was able to make, and he says, I am he who passes on the message, the satellite message in this prison, Yogananda's message in this prison. So he became the spiritual director of Ananda in that prison. And what did he say? He said, I want to serve my Guru, and nothing can stop me. Not these walls, not these conditions, not these circumstances. They will not be able to stop me if God wants to help me. So he was a genius. Before he had entered prison, he's still a genius. So he's very good at investing money. So with his sister and brother-in-law, he organized some business, some enterprise, some economic financial enterprise that made it possible for him to gain $1 million and donate that to the temple of Ananda village. And he said, how did I manage to do that? Certainly there had to be my own willpower and my sister's and my brother-in-law's willpower. And of course there were also my capacities, but especially there were long nights of prayer for guidance and grace of God. And I can imagine this man in just one of those terrible prisons, that spending his nights doing that, what the reading says today, to put himself in tune, to touch his Guru's cloak, saying, I'm here, I know you can, through me, do this. Kriyananda also says, I would like to, let's invite the Spirit continuously to act through us. Let us not limit ourselves to act for God and Guru. That already in itself is very good, much better than saying I'm doing it only for myself. But he also says, invite him with us. Bring him in every moment of your days and your life. And then to finish, I'd like you to listen to Swami's voice, his vibrations, as he sings one of his songs on a text by Yogananda. No, it's his own text. No, it's by Yogananda. It's called I've Been Roaming. Doesn't matter. It's a wonderful poem, and I'd like to read it to you first in Italian. Let's try to receive the words and the vibrations of Swami and the Master with all our open heart open, remembering his love for Master and God. I have been roaming, forsaken by thee, who hast seen me groping, hardly ever answering. I shall be roaming, roaming, bursting all boundaries of hearts, ever moving toward thee, to thy vast and throbbing heart. Unthrobbing heart, come thou to me, O Lord, oh come at last to me. Centuries and centuries I have waited now for thee. Through endless incarnations I called out for thy name, searching by the streamlets of all my silvery dreams. I knew that thou must come at last to steal the flowers of my heart. In sorrow thrills I piped my love, I sadly sang my song to thee. And yet I knew my love must reach thee through many lives, though many lives I had to wait. On mountain crags of high devotion, I sadly sang my song, my song, my song.
I have been roaming, I have been roaming, forsaken by thee, who hast seen me groping, hardly ever answering. I shall be roaming, roaming, I shall be roaming, roaming, bursting all boundaries of heart, evermore moving towards thee, to thy vast and throbbing heart. Through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Searching by the streamlets of all my silvery dreams, I have been roaming, I have been roaming, forsaken by thee, who hast seen me groping, hardly ever answering. I shall be roaming, roaming, I shall be roaming, roaming, bursting all boundaries of heart, evermore moving towards thee, to thy vast and throbbing heart. Through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Searching by the streamlets of all my silvery dreams, through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Through endless incarnations I've called out for thy name. Searching washing by the streamlets all my silvery dreams. I